Let's meet someone who turned personal setbacks into a mission to transform health, recovery and human performance. I'm Kate Save. The Inspired CEO starts now. Welcome to The Inspired CEO, where each episode we explore the innovative wellness practices that are driving success and longevity in the modern business world. In this episode, we chat with Goran Petrovic, a former elite turned medtech entrepreneur, now CEO of Men's Nutrition Asia Pacific. Goran is leading innovation in surgical nutrition to improve recovery and outcomes driven by a passion for resilience, performance and building a healthier future. Thanks for joining us today here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Kate. How are you?
Oh, so good and so great to have you talking about something I'm so passionate about with nutrition. And take me back to growing up and your journey to get to nutrition. So you did sport.
Yeah, I did sport. I think, I guess it probably starts even earlier. It starts with probably my dad even, and mum, in fact. Like it's always been eating well's always been a staple and keeping healthy and fit.
Yeah.
As early as as I can remember, probably 5 or 6 years of age.
Right.
So I think, situational sort of circumstances, call for that mostly. Always playing sport, etc.
So soccer was your sport?
Soccer was my sport, yes.
And how far up the ladder did you get with your soccer? You wanted to go pro?
I did, absolutely. I wanted to go pro, and you're ever so close. And I feel like there's so many people that almost got there, and we could talk about that forever. But I got up to a point where I did go for some pretty decent trials over in Europe.
Yeah. Right.
But body lets you down, or let me down anyway.
So what age were you?
Geez, I would have been, the last time I had a good crack at it, I would have been 22 or 23 years of age, to be honest. And I was already 2 ACLs down by that time.
Really?
And a couple of other things, but yeah, so it feels like a lifetime. I didn't actually start soccer that early either. I started when I was about 13 years of age, which is very different to most people that I knew.
Starting 6 or 7.
Correct, yeah, absolutely.
And how did you start soccer? How did that come about?
Influence was from Dad. Again, never a lot of pressure, so to speak. I played a lot of soccer at school, but I actually played basketball. My family over in Bosnia, really, so Croatian Bosnian background, heritage-wise, had quite the standing in basketball.
Right.
And they're all tall, much taller than I was. They're all like 6'6", etc.
Oh, really?
Big, tall family, minus Dad and I.
Yeah.
Still got some height on us, but not quite as tall. But yeah, so it was basketball up until a certain point, and I just sort of gravitated there. And I think I remember the first game I was playing, my parents thought, geez, what the hell's happening here? This guy, he's running like he's running on a basketball court. But it came naturally to me, I think, over time, plus a fair bit of hard work went into it. A lot, in fact.
Yeah.
And again, I can credit Dad and just my upbringing for that.
So even nutrition growing up, was that foundational to your sport?
Yeah, well, sport and just life in general. Yeah. I mean, if I look back on it now retrospectively, it was just so pragmatic. And I feel like you know about this a lot, but like I have just a lot of pragmatism when it comes to food and nutrition. There's such simple rules, but you can get sort of caught up in a whole bunch of stuff, but absolutely, like we ate really well.
Yeah, right.
Junk wasn't around.
Yes.
I mean, it was if we wanted to have some fun from time to time, but, I think that there's something about the European cultures, traditions, that they just knew what you needed to sustain yourself.
Yeah.
Because it all came with, let's call it, like, it sounds terrible, but like a villager's mentality, so to speak.
Yeah,
what do you need to eat to get the job done?
Yeah, right.
And all the work done around the house, or,
So what did food in your household look like growing up? Do you have traditional meals? Or?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, you've got to think about where the heritage is from, basically, and how many people went through that part of the world. All right, so there's a lot of Turkish influence,
right?
Plus a little bit of Mediterranean. So it's kind of like a mixture of Italian, Turkish. And you end up with a whole bunch of basically different types of meat. Stews were heavy, but in those stews you'd have meat that was slow cooked with, different types of vegetables that were in there and, some potatoes, etc. And you never loaded up too much on bread or anything, but it was everything was from the garden basically.
Amazing.
Or the market.
Yeah.
And then just your traditional stuff. You'd have a barbecue from time to time, and then you'd be leaning more towards the Mediterranean style where you'd have fish on the barbecue or fish stews and then all the good stuff, all the schnitzels and all the pastries.
Yeah, amazing. And so your transition then, so you started working in the surgical devices space. So how did you get into that?
Just pure.
Was that Medacta? Or was that later on?
It was Medacta early days, which is a wonderful story, a company story. But the original person that's kind of doing what I'm doing back then, this is now 15 years ago, took a leap of faith in bringing Medacta to Australia.
Right.
And he was growing rapidly, and he said he needed a new staff member, and I joined the team. But my reference for that job was Dr. John O'Donnell, who's a very good friend of mine now, long-standing friend. I took a bit of a gamble putting him down as my reference. I didn't even ask him, but he operated on me. He did like 3 hip arthroscopies when I think I was probably 16 or 17.
Right.
Thereabouts. So it's funny when you look back on, it's always easy when you look back on things to stitch the story up together.
Yeah.
And sometimes you ask yourself whether it was meant to be. I feel like it was. Regardless of how many hard times you have, amongst that whole story, particularly when you look back on it.
And so 15 years of working in that field, what have you taken from that to put into your new business?
That's a tough one. I think number one, first and foremost, is relationships.
Yes.
I've been very patient with that. I've never really been this type of salesperson. I go against every rule book that anyone in medical devices will ever tell you. Practice your scripts, do all that stuff. And you learn that over time. And to be perfectly honest, you can't become good at that until you got experience. So I let that part do its thing.
Yeah.
And you can only learn by being in theatre. We've spent thousands of hours in theatre, seeing hundreds and hundreds, 500 hip replacements per year for 15 years.
Wow.
You can't learn that fast.
Yeah.
But relationships by far, I've always felt that was something I had, I think. And then just taking people along with the journey, making them feel young.
Yeah.
And being helpful, responsive. For me, the number one things have always been relationships, be fast, be efficient, be prompt. Over time, compounded, and it works.
And when did you decide to step out of that role into Mend?
Yeah, well, it's actually happening now, right? Like there was it's crazy. We've been, and you know this quite well, we've been speaking about it for a couple of years. There's 3 years of trying to get Mend up and going here in Australia whilst I've been in a med devices role. Only about 8 months ago now did I move together with a colleague into running our own business on the medical device side rather than working for somebody.
Yeah.
And that's lent itself to the Mend side increasing in pace as well.
Yeah.
And everything's happened in like the last 6 to 8 months, working through regulatory stuff with Mend, which is quite the challenge, as you know, with the Therapeutic Goods Association and all of that stuff. But I don't think I'll ever disassociate the two. I'll still have a business that operates the medtech side.
Yeah.
Because to be perfectly honest, they're interconnected.
They are. You can't have one without the other. Yeah.
No, and I get to say and see all my clients and friends over the years that actually will be using Mend hopefully in the future as well.
So explain to people what Mend is.
Yeah, it's a great question. Mend is a supplement that's been designed to help people prepare and recover from surgery. So a supplement you take to mitigate the catabolic effects of surgery.
And so for people that don't understand the catabolic effects of surgery, what have you seen and what does this mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's basically the injury caused to the body by surgery. I mean, the best way that I've always described it is if people need to put you under, you know that they're doing damage to you.
Yeah.
And they're obviously doing a good thing by helping you restore your joints or whatever it might be. But every single thing from the incision all the way down to the muscle, you're cutting tissue. In instances, you're retracting muscle, and that's a stressful response to the body. So that then requires a certain amount of key nutrients, vitamins, minerals. In fact, like in some instances, 25 times more than that of if you're not injured.
Yeah, right.
And no one's played in that market. I think, there's a couple of companies that have been there, but they're more tackling the caloric side of things.
Yes.
But not necessarily that acute phase of injury.
And particularly your company looks at different stages of surgery. So it's not just the pre-operative. So pre-operative's preparing the body.
Correct.
Yeah. Take us through the stages.
Yeah, so the stages would be, say, pre. So typically your dose would be like, say, 6 to 8 weeks, okay? And if you think about somebody coming in for joint replacement surgery, what you'd want them to do is build up as much muscle bulk as possible.
Yes.
And to do that through exercise when you're already inhibited due to injury or arthritis or something is quite hard because you have a lack of function and movement. So you want to try and prep people as much as you can leading into surgery. And then you are taking...
And what sort of supplement are they taking in that pre-surgery?
So that supplement is specifically either an anti-inflammatory one,
yes,
or in combination with, say, Repair and Recover is our supplement that is protein-based.
Yes.
We've skewed the product a little towards what the, say, Asia-Pacific market would respond to well and added creatine in that now.
Yes.
So, which, now you've got 2 of the most studied ingredients on the planet in the same tub. And then that just continues. So there's 2 different types of product. That acute phase, so that during operation phase, let's call it for that 2 to 3 weeks, there's arginine and citrulline in there. So key components for increased blood flow, vasodilation to help even your wound healing.
Yes.
And then once you lean out towards that, it becomes a bit more about the muscle.
Right.
So more protein focused.
Excellent. So if people are going for surgery, let's say someone's having hip surgery, what does that protocol look like that you'd be setting them up with?
Yeah, so I'd be setting them up, if they were going in for surgery, did you say? Yeah, so I'd be setting them up with a 6-week protocol. That's what we're going to recommend here.
Yes.
And data suggests that is the perioperative period.
Yes.
Ideally, you'd like to capture people earlier.
Right.
Okay, but, as a starting point, somebody would come to see a surgeon. They'd get their booking, for example, whenever their surgical episode is, and 2 weeks prior to surgery, they will start taking Mend.
Right.
And that will last for 8 weeks.
And is that a liquid form, powder form?
Yeah, powder form, mix it with whatever liquid of choice.
Yes.
Trying not to stir it up too much in terms of make any changes to people's regular kind of pattern. I think people are quite comfortable with drinking, so let's say, a protein shake.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that this one has been specifically designed with the nutrients needed to help them prepare for surgery and recover, and at clinical dosages. So dosages of the ingredients are quite high. We kind of sit in this Nutri-Pharma bracket where it's all natural product, but at pharmaceutical grade quantities.
Incredible. So they're doing that for 2 weeks prior to surgery.
Correct.
Then what's the next thing they're taking?
Well, they're actually taking the same supplement during that whole time.
Yes.
But they'll there's 2 variations on it. Mm-hmm. One has arginine in it that is more for that acute phase. So when you are still recovering from your superficial, say, wound healing components.
Yes.
And then let's say that's repair and recover surgery. Mm-hmm. And then following that acute phase, that 2 weeks, you move into repair and recover daily.
Right. And the difference with the daily?
Just the arginine component to it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because you probably know better than me, but my understanding is that arginine can become toxic if you take for too long. So that's the reason why we've removed it.
Absolutely. And you do see arginine has been used in isolation, I've seen in the hospitals over years, particularly for diabetic ulcers.
Yes.
And you see miraculous recovery when someone who obviously has a quite depleted diet starts putting that in amongst protein and other things. Wounds recover. That might have been, I saw a particular man who'd had a wound for 2 years and he was going every week to the medical centre to have the dressings changed, and then started seeing him for diet, got him on some arginine. Literally within 2 weeks, he sent me a photo. It's barely there. Yeah. And another 4 weeks later, gone after 2 years. And you think, why is nutrition overlooked?
Yeah.
Why would you let someone come back every week for 2 years and just keep stringing them on, changing a bandage?
It's so true. And look, that's part of the mission too, and part of why we at some point we'd like to involve yourself and a whole bunch of other dietitians that can be integrated into this whole platform.
Yeah.
You think surgery and everyone is doing a great job, but they're doing a great job specific to what it is that they are doing themselves.
Yeah.
Now things are becoming more holistic. Like certainly I'm seeing physio now in orthopedic practices, augmented with nutritionists, with psychologists, with a whole bunch of different stuff. And I think that'll take a little bit of time. But it's certainly urgent and it's needed. Yeah,
and it's treating that body as a whole again, rather than the parts and pieces.
Absolutely, and that's a big motivation for me with MEND is that you give. So you've got two variables that patients can control in this setting, and that's food intake and exercise.
Yes.
Now, being able to give them something that they can actually take control of is quite empowering as well. All right, so. What I've certainly noticed even throughout this testing phase, let's call it the last 3 years of giving people MEND, is that because they can do something and they can see that change, it inspires them to do other stuff as well. So all of a sudden their diets get better.
Yes.
They exercise more because they're stronger.
Yes.
They're in less pain because they're eating the right foods. Like you could just see that there's something great happens from that specific moment. Yeah.
And that empowerment to mentally is going to build resilience, build confidence, and help them make better choices.
It's huge. It's like I remember the first time I met you, or second when we spoke about your program, and you said that the key thing is that they lose weight quickly.
Yeah.
And that's that mental part, all right? Something happens fast that you can then go and grab and augment something better with.
It's the confidence boost.
Correct.
Show them it's going to work, and it's not always going to be that quick and easy, but give them evidence that this is the starting point. We can take you all the way, but you need to trust us.
Correct.
And that first result is enough to gain their trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so what's next with MEND? So how far into this market do you think that you've got with orthopaedic surgery?
Yeah, we're not even there. I mean, orthopaedics is just the start. We'll end up in oncology. I mean, I've got huge aspirations for this company across the Asia Pacific region.
Yeah.
And that includes the Middle East eventually, and obviously Singapore and Korea, Japan, etc. We're scratching the surface on it. I mean, we'll have our first run of stock come out in about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic for us, modified to the Australian or Asia Pacific market in flavour and in ingredients. And I mean, orthopaedics is the start, because what I want to build here, what we want to build, is something that is trusted by physicians. And I'm taking that patient slow approach where it becomes a word of mouth driven business. We won't focus too much on marketing.
Yeah.
We want to be that mainstay, I suppose, where the goal is to have anyone undergoing surgery have MEND.
Yes.
Incredible. It's a significant number.
And it was interesting, you bumped into Steffi Lee Cutting, the boxer in the waiting room, and she said, but I get hurt all the time. I'm not having surgery, but I'm always hurt. She's always got, torn skin from a cut. She's always bruised and battered, and even thinking about how you get into the sports world before the surgery. And
absolutely. I mean, that's a big drive. I've got some wonderful people on this team, some surgeons that are advisors to the Australian cricket team and a couple of other key professional clubs around the world. In fact, MEND works with the NFL and NBA at a high level. You just can't get in front of Gatorade when it comes to sponsorship or anything like that. All right, so. But that injury phase is the next phase.
Amazing.
So we'll see how it all goes, Kate.
Incredible. I love what you're doing and putting nutrition first. Now, your health at the moment, what do you do to manage your health and fitness?
Yeah, look, that hasn't changed for a long time. I mean, you can see how big the wellness area is now, right? And everyone's into saunaing and ice bars and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
I mean, I've been doing this since I was 10, so mine hasn't changed. My intensity probably has from time to time.
Yeah.
My days are the same most days. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people doing it, but, I'm up at 4 or 4:30. I'm in the gym.
Yes.
It might not be an ice bath post-up, but it'd be a sauna or something.
Yeah.
I don't miss days.
Yeah.
Probably haven't missed a total of 2 weeks in 18 years.
Do you know what? That consistency, every single person I have interviewed is consistent with their health routine.
Yeah. Well, you can't. I mean, you know this yourself. We get busier every day. 3 kids also. I've got a newborn son who's 6 months old, or just about, and two older girls. Life's demanding. So, you know, I've got to be at my very best every day.
Amazing. And what a great role model as well for your kids.
Thanks, Kate.
Well, this is the Inspired CEO, and we'll be right back.